Don don de don don de don don de don 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 de don don de don don de don. Calling all sisters and brothers of love, calling all nations and angels above. Calling all sisters and brothers of love, calling all nations and angels above. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh. Let us rise, 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 like a phoenix from the fire, and we will fly, 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 higher and higher and higher, and we will stand, 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 in solidarity for this sacred land, and we will lead, 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 with compassion for all humanity. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh. And we will pray, 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 for love to show the blessed way. And we will hear, 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 the truth that leads us out of fear. And we will really choose to see those we perceive to be our enemy. And we will be set free with the light that shines in you and me. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh. And we will choose to heal the pain we feel, and we will rise above, 'cause we are warriors of love. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah, oh, oh, oh. Dum.
Greetings and good day to everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Inner Light Ministries Sunday service. I'm the Reverend Deborah Johnson. I so love that musical offering of Heather Houston, Warriors of Love. Love every single line within that. And so pleased that Heather is a part of our spiritual community. So let's just take a breath. Let's take a breath. Wherever it is that you are, know that where you are is holy ground. It's holy ground because you're there. So I say thank you for letting us into your heart, your minds, your homes, your places of worship, wherever it is that you are in this moment. You could be in the hospital. You could be incarcerated in this moment. You could be watching this on the beach or somewhere in the park. And you know what? In the divine, there is no time or space. We are all here together. So even in the midst of all of the things that are going on politically, economically, with the COVID pandemic, all the things, life is still good. The divine is still the divine. Never allow any of those things to have the last word, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience. The human experience doesn't define us. The human experience is just the container. It's just the context in which we are learning the lessons. Don't let the context become the content of your life. Who you are about, what you are about is greater than the stuff that we're going through. So we're here at Inner Light to help us remember that, to awaken from the hypnotic suggestions that we are our stuff, to stop sleepwalking and to step into our greater yet to be, to step into our power so that we can bring forth the beloved community, so that we can live in a world that's environmentally sustainable and socially just, so that we can bring forth the spiritual fulfillment that is our divine design. And we are so happy that you are doing this journey with us. Take a breath. We invite you to join us. There's a Zoom watch party that's going on right now. They are screen sharing this particular message that I'm giving. You can pop in at any time and listen to it with other people. We've created essentially a virtual sanctuary. At the end of my talk here, I'm going to jump off of this platform and get into that Zoom party, and we're just going to keep it going. Michael Shervat is our musical inspiration, so we'll have a chance to sing along with him. We will hear a reading from the Dalai Lama, and there will be a lot of time for you to talk to each other in groups of 3 in breakout rooms so that we can further go deeper and discuss the things that we're talking about and other good stuff. So please join us whenever you can. And you can also make a contribution anytime throughout this message, anytime during the Zoom party. It's all open and it's all available at any time. At Inner Light, we have a monthly theme, and we're just now beginning in March 2021. This is still February. Sorry about that. So we are completing February. I'm off on to the next month already. And our theme is power. And we are ending this theme. And next week in March, we're going to be going into abundance. We always do affirmative activations. And these activations are designed to recalibrate your energy field so that you can vibrate at a higher frequency and unleash more of your spiritual power and potential. So I invite you to join with us right now when we do our activations for this week, which will appear now on your screen. So our theme today is standing in spiritual truth, our activations. The great awakening is at hand. The light of truth is dissipating all darkness. What needs to be healed is revealed. We give it our full compassion and forgiveness. We are arising from our collective hypnotic slumber. Everything comes back into alignment. Restoration and redemption prevails. Our feet are planted on solid ground. We stand in spiritual truth. We are excited to feel, deal, and heal. Unhealed karma has no more gravitational pull. We are free to be our highest and our best without struggle or fight. We gladly rise to this occasion. Lord, lift us up where we belong. I'm going to ask you to just breathe that in for a moment. Standing in spiritual truth. As part of our purpose statement, we say that we honor all paths that lead to truth. People say, well, how do you know what the truth is? How do you know? And I'm not saying that we know what the truth is. We say we honor the paths that are leading and that are going in that direction. We can never define exactly what something is. It's infinite. You can't put the infinite into finite terms. You know, what is life? What is love? Do we really know that? What is joy? We don't know it, but you know its markings. You know it when you see it. You can feel it. It has an energy field. And you know what it's like when it's not there. You say, well, you know, I'm not exactly sure what inclusion means, but you know what it doesn't look like. You know, well, I'm not exactly sure what is trust? Well, I bet you know what it doesn't look like. And you can start there and say trust would be its opposite. What do we know about truth? And I'm not just talking about truth with the little t. I'm not just talking about your personal human experience. I'm talking about truth with the capital T. There are at least two sides to every story, and then there's the truth. The truth with the capital T. What do we know about this truth? We know that in the truth, there's room enough for all. That the truth doesn't have to hide. It doesn't have to cut things out. That truth is not afraid. What we know about truth is that it's consistent. It's not changing. It's not flopping around with the opinions of the day. We know the truth can stand the test of time. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Now, it may piss you off first, because the real truth may go up against some of your ideas or some of your beliefs. Truth is redemptive. I really like that word, redemptive. When something is redeemed, it's bought back. It's restored. It's elevated. I can hear my father now. My father used to say sometimes when I messed up, you need to redeem yourself, little lady. You need to redeem yourself, which meant I need to make it right. I needed to shift. I needed to do something so that I wasn't just thinking about myself anymore. And once I, quote unquote, redeemed myself, there would be a wholeness for everyone. This is what happens when we're hit a place of truth. When we hit a place of truth, even the things that were ugly, even the things that were bad, somehow or another get shifted and turned into something that can actually be a blessing. It doesn't mean that the other isn't there, but we stop looking at things at just so exclusively this or that. You can have something terrible like an earthquake, a tsunami that can come in and rip everything up. And you know what? Maybe out of that, there's a new form community that forms, new founded community that forms. Maybe you see more compassion. Maybe there's a way that folks rally together in a way that They wouldn't have pulled together had it not been for that catastrophe, had it not been for that disaster. See, the stuff of this world doesn't define us. Standing in spiritual truth. There's a parable that Jesus gives in the end of what we call the Sermon of the Mount in Scripture. The Sermon of the Mount is found in chapters 5, 6, and 7 in the book of Matthew, which is the first book of the Gospels. The Gospels are the books of the Bible that talk about the life of Jesus. It's doubtful if he actually said all of this stuff at one time, but this is where it's all pulled together. The precepts about forgiveness and the Beatitudes, the Lord's Prayer, and all of these things, forgiveness, like how to live your life. Basically, principles about how to be a good moral person in life, how to shine your light on the just and the unjust, how to care about other people. And at the end of all of this, he says, he who hears these words of mine and does them is likened to the wise man who builds his house upon the rock. And when the winds and the rains come, the house still stands. He who hears these words of mine and doesn't do anything with them is likened to the foolish man who builds his house upon the sand. And when the winds and the rains come, great is the fall of the house. This isn't just a construction lesson. The thing about the parables is that they are true on a literal level, and they're also true on a metaphorical level. This house is your dwelling place, not to be confused with your residence. Your residence is a geographic location that you go in and out of. Sometimes you're there and sometimes you're not. The bulk of our life often isn't actually lived in our residence. Your dwelling place is your place of consciousness. It's that place where you're thinking, where you're contemplating, where you're feeling, and you take that with you wherever you go. So your dwelling place is wherever you are. This is the house that's being spoken of here. When you built it on the rock, this rock is the equivalent of the truth that I'm talking about, a transcendent truth that's bigger than just the stuff of this day. That if you're willing to dwell there, if you're willing to keep your consciousness there, that when the rains and the storms come, the wind beats upon your house. This is extremely important because too many people believe that somehow or another, if I live a good life, if I follow all my spiritual practices, I get to be exempt from the weather. Nobody's exempt from the weather. The wind, the rain, the storms, they're going to come. And they will beat upon your house, your consciousness, your very sense of your beingness. But if you are building, if the foundation of your life is something beyond the temporal and the transitory, your house will still stand. You won't fall with it. However, if you are building on the shifting sand, you can't build in sand. It can't provide a foundation. Why? Because it shifts. It shifts. The only thing that ever needs to be healed is just a sense of separation. You hear me say that all the time. And what is sand but separated rock? It's granulated rock. I get these downloads, these spirit letters, and one of them's coming to mind now. When I was whining and complaining about this thing or that thing and why it wasn't working out, and I could hear that spirit voice say to me, my reverend daughter, what exactly do you need to know about sand to understand that it shifts? How much more do you need to know? Why are you asking all these questions? If you're building it in the sand, it's going to fall. I don't care what it is. I don't care whether it's a big edifice. I don't care whether it's a little toy something. If it's built in the sand, it's coming down. It's coming down. Subjected to the same wind and the rain. Where are you using your power? Where are you using your power? Are you using your power to build upon the rock? Or are you using your power to build upon the sand? The same principles are true at the most personal, microscopic level as they are at the largest global, macro level. The same principle. There's not a different gravity for a tennis ball than there is for a rocket ship. Just let that sink in for a moment. Collectively, are we standing on spiritual truth? I'm telling you now, I personally am alarmed. I am alarmed at just how much building is going on now in this nation on shifting sand. On stuff that not only has no spiritual truth, it doesn't even have factual truth. It doesn't even have truth on the little t level of just the experience of stuff that we know. A house cannot stand. It can't stand divided against itself, and it can't stand if it's not on a good foundation. Take a breath. Now, it's not enough to point the finger. It's not enough to point the finger at other people and say, what are they doing and where are they building? Where are we building? Where are we building? If we're trying to exclude the people excluding, that's just more exclusion going on. If we're judging and standing in judgment of the ones who were judging, that's just more judging going on. If we're closing our hearts to the people who are closing their hearts, that's just that much more shut down. It isn't a question of who's right and will the real right person stand up. There's room enough for all of us. Can we stand on that truth? Can we stand on oneness? Not we oneness. Because 51% ain't spiritual truth. As long as you're excluding and leaving somebody out, it's not spiritual truth. Just take a breath. We are in perilous times. You don't hear me talk like that much. But we're in perilous times. When you look out at the landscape, we don't have time to mess around. I don't care whether it's talking about the economy, whether it's talking about ecology, whether it's talking about politics. We don't have time to act like we don't know what we know. It's time to stand up. It's time to speak power to truth and truth to power. But just get through the gates. Just get through the gates. The Sufi gates. This is the code of conduct for this ministry, that all your words need to get through the Sufi gates. The Sufi say, if you can't get through these gates, save your breath. Your breath is too important because your breath is energy. 3 gates. And being me, I added a 4th one. Okay. Gate number 1. Is it true? Can you imagine how much less talking there would be if we would just stick to that? Is it true? Number 1. 2. Does it need to be said? Does it need to? Because that cuts both ways now. That cuts both ways. It means speak up. And it means sometimes maybe you should think twice before you put that out there. Is it true? Does it need to be said? And the 3rd gate. Can it be said with kindness out of love? Can it be said with kindness out of love? Now, I'm not saying being mamby-pamby. Sometimes there's tough love. Sometimes you got to discipline your children. Sometimes you got to call each other out of addictions. Sometimes you got to be the voice. You got to be the Moses. You got to be the Martin Luther King. Let my people go. But you're saying it out of love to redeem everybody. Not to just throw the oppressor in jail, but to create a new world where we can all live together as equals. Is it true? Does it need to be said? Can it be said with can it be said with kindness out of love? Is it true? Does it need to be said? Can it be said with kindness out of love? And I added that 4th gate. Does it need to be said by me? Does it need to be said by me? That's another one. It cuts both ways. Maybe you can get through those gates, but maybe you're not the messenger. Just saying. You know, maybe you can get through the gates, but maybe you're not the one to teach your spouse about what was wrong with them. Maybe you're not the teacher. Okay. Now, there may be other times when you're looking around to see, well, who else going to do this? Well, who? It's you. You're the one sitting there. You're the one in the position. It's you. Stand in spiritual truth. Use your power. And I'm going to end with my favorite quote from Audre Lorde. When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, it becomes less and less important whether I'm afraid. Don't let the fear stop you from standing in your truth and speaking power unto truth. Let's just breathe that in. And as we start to bring this portion of our service to a conclusion, I invite you once again, you have an opportunity to make a contribution. Make a contribution. Money is energy. It's currency. It's a power. And I know these are hard times for so many people. I'm not unmindful of that. Lord knows as a ministry that we have been hit really hard. And always keep the flow going. Even if it's just a little bit, you always want to stay a great giver in life. And for those of you who can, do more. Support what supports you. You'll see on your screen the different ways and opportunities that you can do that. Please, please, no matter where you are, don't shut down. When you think you don't have any more love to give, dig a little bit deeper into that well of the great I am that you are connected to, that you can love a little more. When you think you can't forgive anymore, dig deep into that. When you think that you're tapped out, dig deep into that. When you think you don't have anything to give, dig deep into that so you can open up the floodgates for your own self to be able to receive. I invite you to join me in our Zoom watch party that's going on right now. Michael Shervat is our musical inspiration, and he's going to be bringing some of his original music to bear. We're going to be meeting in breakout groups and go over a reading from the Dalai Lama for a little bit more inspiration. You'll find out more exciting things that are going on with Inner Light and how you might be able to participate. You'll get to know somebody in breakout groups as you have a chance to discuss this message and to share with each other. So see you there. Take this consciousness and multiply it.